A couple hours ago, Pete asked that I covered this stablecoin sandwich issue that's been making the rounds. Apparently, Crypto Eddie has highlighted it a few times now, and he wanted me to weigh in on it. I've saw this being discussed on X, but haven't really paid a lot of attention, so I looked it up. And Crypto Eddie's explaining that the stablecoin sandwich is essentially a payment where you have fiat on two sides, and sandwiched in between that payment as well, a stable coin. So traditionally, you would think of XRP being the bridge currency, and in place of that, now people are using stable coins. Now, before I give you my explanation on this, I want to make sure you understand I'm not just making things up on the fly to fit a narrative. This has always, and I mean always, been the design of the XRP Ledger. And I'll let this Chris Larson interview from quite a while ago when he was CEO of Ripple explain that and really make that case. So you understand this isn't a shifty narrative. This is the way the system was always supposed to work.
You could go directly. You don't actually have to go through XRP. But what we believe will happen is that most market makers, in filling out the world of exchanging value from anything of value, again, currencies, merchant reward points, airline miles, gold, silver, anything that you define as value, most people will actually, most market makers will use XRP. Because as a currency without a counterparty, it is a completely unique thing in the protocol, just like Bitcoin is completely unique. So again, our view of why math-based currencies are so valuable isn't necessarily that they replace existing currencies, it's just that they have a very unique feature in that they have no counterparty. So the whole world, the world only has to think about one thing when it comes to Bitcoin or Ripple, is the price in any microsecond in time. You never have to think about the counterparty risks. Turns out that that is a completely unique thing that's never existed before. So why is that important? Let's say we use the example of a farmer in Nepal wanting to buy farming equipment from a supplier in Kenya, let's say. If you didn't have the math-based currency, even in an internet for value, you'd probably have to go Nepalese rupee to Indian rupee to British pounds to Kenyan shilling. That's a lot of hops.
Right, and you're going to lose a good amount of money on each hop.
You lose value on every hop, right? Because you're involving currencies with counterparties, things of value with counterparty. It'd be much better to go Nepalese rupee to XRP through a market maker, and then there's some other market maker that has made a market between Kenyan shilling and XRP. Now, Nepal and Kenya are one hop away. You're actually one hop away from airline miles, and everything is one hop away.
And here's the thing. Back with this design, you had to use market makers. Now that liquidity is going on chain, so it's even cheaper. It's even more efficient. So what is Crypto Eddie talking about? Well, she's absolutely correct. There's a lot of payments where using a stable coin is more efficient. You don't have any volatility. You have digital euros and digital dollars down the road, and there'll be a great market for that. You won't need to complicate things with the crypto asset. There are many things we do in daily life where we're not using XRP, Bitcoin, or something else. We use dollars or credit cards. It's not something we need to complicate things with. But when you look at the totality of everything of value that will be traded on these global markets, as David has said, don't focus on the small. That's not important. There are going to be so much value from derivatives markets and bonds and, payments through obscure currencies that don't have a direct trading pair, that you can't do a stablecoin sandwich to settle. XRP is this global currency, this base currency on the XRP ledger with all the different value you're going to be trading. It's going to pick up so much trading volume. It's going to make this other stuff kind of ancillary. You don't want to force someone to use XRP. That's not utility. That's trying to game the system. If you can use a digital dollar and it solves a problem better, use a digital dollar. Otherwise, people are going to go to a network where they let you do exactly that. But this is, again, always been the vision that you can put anything of value on the XRP ledger, and you don't have to use XRP. You're not forced to. You can use a digital dollar. You can send a payment in digital gold if you feel like it. But usually, more so than not, in the grand scheme of things, XRP is going to be the most liquid path, is a global base currency. Also remember this. We act like we need some special utility feature for XRP. When you look at Bitcoin, it's decentralized. It runs on rails that can't be censored or seized by government officials. You always have to worry about government, one, big business, two. They can't dictate what you can do financially. XRP fits that same role. The only difference is it has this very, advanced feature sets with the decentralized exchange and pathfinding, and you can do everything you could do with Bitcoin, plus a whole lot more. And you have the same decentralization and safety and, even more scalability and cost efficiency, all that kind of stuff. So it fits that goal. And you see how valuable Bitcoin is. It fits that utility feature set and then a whole lot more. Everyone isn't going to want to hold or use digital dollars or digital euros for every single use case. And it's not going to be the most efficient. Capture those problems that XRP is best in the world at doing. There's so much of that out there. But absolutely correct what she's saying. There's going to be a lot of payments. Stable coins are more efficient. It's easier. You have no fluctuation in value. It's fast, so you don't worry about counterparty risk. Fine. For those things, solve them. And if it's using a stable coin on the XRP ledger, that's just more liquidity flowing over the rails that we can dip into for all sorts of things. This is making XRP Ledger interoperable with TradFi systems, and that's huge. You will see value accrued to the blockchain, to the token, the more you interoperate with TradFi and make the value flow onto and off of the blockchain seamless. This is something to be excited about, not concerned with, in my opinion. Let me know what you think down below. As always, please like, please subscribe. The revolution will be televised right here on Jungle Link.